Okay, so we're back. We're back, but I'm gonna try to listen. Is it any better? Okay. Still the same. All right, it's still the same as what I'm hearing. I'm gonna try one more thing. Okay, one more thing. Okay, how about now? Is this the same? I switched the microphone. Here's what's weird, you guys. I don't know if it's the same, but I'm not hearing anything weird. Like, I hear great audio into my headphones, and something's happening getting to YouTube. So, what are you guys hearing now? Same or different? Just said no. No what, Tyler? Same or different? Same. What? You know, I don't know. It's got to be YouTube. It has to be something with YouTube because everything looks good over here. And, okay, I have an idea. That music be vibing. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try something else. I've got another thing that I'm going to attempt to see what's going on. 1 second here. So here's the recording. I have the recording of the last episode that we just did. And let's see what that sounds like. Let's listen to it together. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this stream, and I'm going to start a new... Yep, it's something with the software. It's a software thing. Pretty boy. Equipment check fund. Thank you. Yeah, seriously, dude. Seriously. Thank you for the donation, Pretty boy swag. All right, so I think I know what's going on. It's the software. So, what can I do? I guess I can do one more thing, but it's the streaming software. There's a streaming software problem. Hold on, let me try this then. How about now? Same or different? The music came through perfectly? Really? How about now? What are you guys hearing now? Better, different, same, worse? So this is the worst episode of the ScuttleButt Show ever. I'm so sorry, guys. The music came through perfect. How weird. I don't know. What is the... It could be the USB cable. It could be... maybe that's what I need to try is the USB cable. Is it... The click... That click sounded clear? What was the click? Is that how... Same. Music was great. Still the same. Okay, hold on. Okay. What about, how does this sound? No, God, please, no. Did that sound, did the Steve Carell, the Office clip, was that jacked up too? Whoa. Something just happened with the chat on my screen. It was went insane. Did that Steve Carell clip, was that all chopped up? So it sounded bad? That sounded bad? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, got it. Okay, so we're going to try this. Okay, I'm going to try changing out the USB cable really quick.
All right. How about now? Is there anything? What about now? How does it sound now? Jordan, you came at the best possible time to jump in on whatever the hell is happening right now. Bubba Diesel, just do your thing. Well, I can't go out like that. How does it sound now? Anything. All right, you hear stuff, but how does it sound? Does it sound all jacked up? It's better? It's better? Fixed? Yes. It's fixed. All right. Whoa. What's up, guys? Max here with another episode of the ScuttleButt Show. Well, you know what? We didn't give up, and we got it. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I mean, I just literally used, Andrew, thank you. That means a lot right now. That was, listen, that was good, actually. That was good. That was everything that being an aviation electronics technician is, okay? That was like maybe the best thing that could have possibly happened. Okay, so what can I do? Like, that happened. We had to fix it. But let's see. How can that be the best thing that could have possibly happened? Let's take that approach. And now I'm paranoid because now it could go bad. I feel like it could go bad again anytime. So I had to go back. I had to recall back to, like, my old Navy days, my old sailor days, where as an aviation electronics technician, I would troubleshoot the computers, the radios. For Justin there, I would go fix his ICS cables, okay? And this was exactly what being AT is. So I tried a quick swap of the gear, right? I just quickly swapped one out to confirm the problem is not the microphone, not the USB cable, not the audio cable, right? And then you turn it off and you turn it back on, and then you plug in and unplug cables again, and eventually it just starts to work. I mean, that's how computers go. We're 20 minutes into the show, and you guys are, I want to say, the greatest people ever to come watch the show. And as we were going through that, I hope that was in some form or fashion at least funny to watch me do that. It would be on a day where I'm hungover too. I have a small, minor hangover. I was with a buddy last night who I haven't seen in a while, and I might not see for a while. And so we were like, let's drink some beers and have some fun. And now that's what I get. Like, the universe just is that way, isn't it? So, all right. So you guys came to see a regular episode of the ScuttleButt Show, and you got so much more. But we have a whole thing planned, a whole episode. So let's see what's even going on right now. Do I have, like, I'm totally, like, everything's jacked up now. I've got to like reset some stuff, but we've got a bunch of stories to cover. If you were here in the beginning, you kind of heard what they are, but let's just, you know what? Let's do this. Thank you guys. You rock. You're the best ever people that come hang out with me here and join me on this program. But let's do this. Let's just go ahead and get into the first actual ScuttleButt Show story that we had today, which is this, okay? So Joe Biden orders airstrikes against Iran-backed militia targets in eastern Syria. This is breaking news. So Iran always was what I consider to be like the thing that made me most nervous when I was in Iraq. Because, and maybe I shouldn't even say this. But it was because I believe that the most dangerous thing that we faced out there was a rogue pilot, okay? I never really have heard anybody else talk about this, but obviously, and probably everyone realizes this, the greatest threats are always insider threats, right? An insider can do way more harm and damage than an outsider, okay? And that being said, what is like the biggest weapon in the battle space, okay? It was jets, like fast mover jets or bombers. And we had like all these foreign pilots. And my biggest fear was always some kind of insider threat, radicalized pilot would use their payloads on us in like on our bases. there would have been no defense. We would have been totally defenseless to that. So my biggest fear was always like Iranian or Iraqi or French or whatever it is, a pilot that chooses to go turn green on blue and drop their missiles and bombs on us. We would have had no chance. There would have been zero chance for surviving that. And nothing that we could, clicked the wrong button. And nothing that we could have done to stop it either. Like, we would have just been totally screwed until another aircraft could maybe get up there and do something about it. So, just as an aside, okay, just as another, that, so I only brought that up to say we had like these Iranians on a base in Iraq, and I always was like worried that somebody might turn and use like an aircraft against us. So anyway, this story breaking right now. Biden orders U.S. airstrikes against Iran-backed militia targets in eastern Syria. So U.S. forces struck multiple targets in eastern Syria used by Iranian-backed militant groups at around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, the Pentagon press secretary confirmed. And that's retaliation for the rocket attacks against bases in Iraq that we covered last week. It injured an American service member and killed a contractor. That was up in Erbil. So I guess they're saying that Iran was responsible for this. And the strikes ordered by President Joe Biden destroyed multiple facilities used by groups including Kataib Hezbollah and Kataib Saeed Lal Shahada. That was not right. None of that was right. At President Biden's directions, U.S. military forces earlier this evening conducted airstrikes against infrastructure utilized by Iranian-backed militant groups in eastern Syria. These strikes were authorized in response to recent attacks against American and coalition personnel in Iraq, and to ongoing threats to those personnel. Specifically, the strikes destroyed multiple facilities located at a border control point used by a number of Iranian-backed militant groups. I wonder if there were any EKIA. So that would have been enemy killed in action. So the proportionate military response was, together with diplomatic measures, including consultation with coalition partners, the operation sends an unambiguous message. President Biden will act to protect American coalition personnel. At the same time, we have acted in a deliberate manner to de-escalate the overall situation in eastern Syria and Iraq. Now, I probably don't have to point out to you, this sounds awfully familiar to when Donald Trump authorized that strike on the Iranian general. What was his name again? Soleimani. So Qasem Soleimani, and killed him in Iraq after Iran had been antagonizing Americans over there for a long time, years in Iraq, ever since we went back with the ISIS stuff. Now, that wasn't reported heavily on, but I'm just telling you, Iran was always antagonizing the United States in small ways while we were there fighting against ISIS. And obviously, Iran also was a state sponsor of major terror plots and actions. So when he took out Qasem Soleimani, that was his explanation, was it was a message to Iran that ended up de-escalating what were very high tensions. And now that's exactly what Joe Biden is saying they're doing here, which is the airstrike was to de-escalate the situation in Syria and Iraq by striking this and hopefully going like, hey, we are not messing around. We're not playing games with you. The airstrike was the first military action undertaken by the Biden administration, which in its first weeks has emphasized its intent to put more focus on the challenges posed by China, even as Mideast threats persist. Yeah, very true. So there's a big threat with China, so we have to figure that out. So we will continue to follow this if any more news about it comes out. But that's the breaking news right now, is that the Biden administration authorized airstrikes on this facility at the border, and they have maybe killed some Iranian forces. And I don't know. It's all breaking news. So we'll continue to follow up on it and see what happens with that. What do you guys think will happen now? Do you think Iran will respond again, or do you think this was a proportionate and appropriate response for the rocket attacks in northern Iraq that killed a contractor and wounded an American serviceman at the airport? You guys tell me what you think in the comments. I want to say thank you to Pretty Boy for another $2 donation. He said, did you pay for your sins in blood to get your channel back up and running? Thank you. Perseverance at its finest. Thank you. And to Andrew, thank you also for sticking with me and throwing some donos out. I appreciate that very much. Now, it means a lot to me, you guys. I did not have to make a deal with the devil to get that audio up and running again, but I was about to. I was getting there. I was desperate. Look, so one thing that we didn't do today because of all that chaos was this. And I wanted to get to the about yesterday earlier. You know, it was funny when we were, the current most viewed video on my channel is the 6 Days in Fallujah reaction video. And it was it's got thousands of more views than the next highest viewed video on the channel, and I'm a little surprised by that. I wanted to rewind back to the 10th Mountains video of the Kill House CQB training video, because I was having a funny conversation with my buddy that I was hanging out with last night, and I was like, it's so, that stupid comment about how once your special forces safety goes out the window and all this stuff, nothing could be further from the truth. But one thing that is kind of funny is we were talking about, like, for all the veterans out there, I'd like to hear your stories about rifle ranges and weapon qualifications. So like pistol and rifle range qualification days and what that was like, because we were talking about the difference between the Navy and Marine Corps weapons qualifications. The Marine Corps obviously having like a pretty substantial marksmanship qualification test, and the Navy having the lamest one of all time. The way that I remember, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, the Navy's weapon qualification test was like, you go online on the indoor range, so you're on the line basically like facing down range in your little stall, your cubicle or whatever, and they're like, okay, load one round into your magazine and then load the magazine to the weapon. You're like, cool. And you go load the round in the magazine. You're like, what are you doing? Who told you to do that? Like, you just told me to do that, dude. You don't put a weapon in a magazine and put it in a gun. Under no circumstances. I will tackle you to the ground. I will take you out. Put the gun down. You're going to kill everybody. And they have a total psychological meltdown over range safety, which it's not like range safety doesn't matter, but oh, Audra with $3.99 donation. Thank you. Super chats are coming in. Wow, look at these super chats coming in. Audra, you rock. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I hope you're enjoying the show and the content. And so the range was like so lame. Then you would fire your one round, then you would like hold the weapon, and then they would like come and clear it and make sure you like unload it and put it on the. Thank you for my little hangover. Thank you very much. And you would put it down on the counter, and you would like fire your next round, and then eventually you would get up to a 15-round mag and do your qualification. When I went through my shooting training with NSW, Naval Special Warfare, it first of all, it was still safe, like safety primary. We were online, like all this stuff. But they're like, okay, what you're going to want to do is draw your weapon and start shooting right away. Like, you're going to draw your weapon and just start shooting, bang, 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 bang. And by the time you actually draw your weapon, your magazine should be empty anyway. Like, yes, that is what I'm talking about. Like, as soon as you draw the weapon, just start shooting. Bang, bang, bang. Because you want to get a couple from the hip. You get a couple from the hip, maybe you hit him in the belly, you hit him in the leg, whatever, and then as you start to draw, you bring it up and you know, extend your arms, and as you're doing that, you're just unloading the entire magazine on your target. And I was like, that is how shooting is done. That is how shooting is done. Those and that comment about the safety being out the window, I will say, it's so dumb. When we were training in the Kill House, it was the number one thing was you would never move or talk with your weapon off safe. You would never move or talk with your weapon off safe. Your weapon would always go on safe. You would move. You would unsafe your weapon, fire. The safety's right there. It doesn't take any extra time to flip the safety on an M4 and then shoot. And our pistols had no safeties because we were using the SIGs. So anyway, it was just funny. I was just laughing at like how different, like how uptight the Navy's ranges and shooting are. And people in the conventional Navy are so inexperienced with weapons. Unless your job is weapons somehow, you have like literally no weapons experience to fall back on. It's kind of almost embarrassing how little we get training on weapons. It's horrible, terrible, awful. So let me go. I'd like to hear your guys' stories on ranges or any funny range stories, because that CQB video just has me cracking up. And it's like all the people talking about on the internet right now, I just think it's so funny. So, all right. We have more stories to cover today. I'm kind of rambling right now. I thought today we might get out of here early, but with the whole audio fiasco and now all this, we're just going to go for a full episode. So let's go. Let's go back over to the next story here, which is this airman. Look at this guy. Look at this doucher. This is Kadena Airman pleads guilty to recording, distributing lewd video without subject's consent. By the way, Kadena Air Force Base, right outside my back door here. I could see it when I opened my window. I'm going to go over there today. I go over there every day. Kadena Air Force Base. Have you ever been there in Okinawa, Japan? I'd love to hear if you've ever been here. Kadena Airman pleads guilty to recording, distributing lewd video without subject's consent. So this is Senior Airman Dante Torrio. Isn't that's close to the name Dominic Toretto? Was he a Fast and the Furious wannabe dude? He changed his name to be like Dominic Toretto. So look, he's at 1st Special Operations Unit out here. So the Air Force has all these special operations units, but their special operations units are like, They have SAR and CSAR, so search and rescue, combat search and rescue, PJs, and then they have all these aircraft that do these top secret squirrel stuff that I don't even know that much about. So you can't do this stuff, dude, obviously. An airman stationed at Kadena Air Base on Okinawa pled guilty, and another is scheduled for court-martial, so another one, making and distributing indecent recordings without the subject's consent. So what are they doing? They're filming people? So Senior Airman Dante Torello, whatever, of the 353rd Special Operations Group pled guilty February 3rd to videoing his victim's genitalia without consent and distributing the recording. Wow. Sicko. Videoing his victim's genitalia. Wow. So according to the court docket, a photo of Torrio released in 2019 by Kadena's 18th Wing described him as a loadmaster for the group's first Special Operations Squadron, and the incident occurred August 2nd, 3rd. According to the charging documents, the Wing did not specify if the incident happened on the installation, if the victim was a service member, or how the footage was recorded and distributed. The military judge in Torello's case, pursuant to his plea, found him guilty and sentenced him to 4 months of military confinement, a bad conduct discharge, and reduction in rank to Airman Basic. That is a bad day for him. Prison, bad conduct discharge, lowest rank you could get, getting kicked out of the Air Force. His life is ruined. I mean, that is a bad day. Senior Airman Ian Catavona of the same unit is also charged with making and distributing an indecent recording along with committing oral sex on someone without their consent and attempting to erase evidence. What? Committing oral sex on someone without their consent? What is that? How do you even do that? How do you do that? I don't even know what to make of that. A general court-martial is scheduled for March 18th. He's screwed. He's going to go to prison, rightfully so, too, if that's all true, if he's found guilty. By the way, he's not been found guilty. This is not his trial is not happening yet. The other person pled guilty. This person who's accused of the oral sex crime has not been had his trial yet. So March 18th to 26th at Kadena. So we'll see what happens. Torello and Catavona's cases are connected. 5th Air Force spokeswoman Captain Andrea Valencia told Stars and Stripes, "We cannot release the additional details on Torello's case until after Catavona's trial. It's not a court order, but adhering to Air Force policies to not release information is common for them, I guess." Let's see. A tenant unit on both Kadena and Yokota Air Bases, the 353rd Special Operations Group, is required to provide annual and quarterly sexual assault response prevention training, SARP. First Lieutenant Josh Thompson, a spokesman, said, "The 353rd Special Operations Group holds each of its members to the same standard of zero tolerance of sexual assault or sexual harassment." You know, it's never okay to sexually assault or sexually harass somebody, but you got to know that if you are like even questioning the appropriateness of something you're doing now, just don't do it. Like, even if you think, I mean, I don't know what the case is here, but even if you think what you're doing is funny or harmless, you are an idiot if you're out there doing this kind of stuff. You are an idiot. Like, I don't even know what to make of the oral sex without consent thing. Like, that's bananas. But the idea that people are out there doing this stuff in 2021 is totally beyond me. I do not get it one bit. Let's catch up on the chat here. So let's see. The Army just changed its shooting standards. What was it? So Tyler, what did I do at NSW? Great question. I flew drones. So I flew tiny little handheld drones. That's what I did in Naval Special Warfare. It was awesome. Best job I ever had. I loved every second of it, and greatest experience of my military career. Audra says, I did some range time in Bahrain. Nice. What were you doing out in Bahrain? What's wrong with these kids? Seriously. Did some work and flew around with those dudes. Oh, the 353rd? Nice. And you've been to, and Justin, you've been to Kadena as well. So Andrew says, First Cav, 1st Armored Brigade combat team had this issue in the men's showers. Oh, gross. Audra says he got the big chicken dinner. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Andrew says, drunk, I bet. Probably alcohol was involved. I think that makes sense. Alcohol is involved. Danger zone. Chair force going crazy. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty wild. That story was pretty wild. Those guys are pretty dumb. Their lives are ruined. Effectively, totally ruined. If you get a bad conduct discharge from the military, in case anybody is not aware of how bad that is, you've basically like lost your right to any and all government benefits, any preferential hiring. In fact, you're going to get probably not only not preferential hiring because you have like for your veteran status, but you're going to not get hired because of your criminal past and your bad conduct discharge, which basically makes you a marked person for the rest of your life as far as trying to get jobs and trying to get benefits and bank loans and everything. It's just totally screwed. So you do not want that. You got to get out with that honor. Like the only discharge from the military that you want is honorable, okay? Not administrative, not general, honorable, and no other caveats to that either. No other tag-ons or footnotes. You want an honorable discharge from the military, okay? That you need that. If you get anything else, it is like a red flag for so many things, and it always needs explaining down the road. So I see you have an administrative discharge, or you're medically retired, but you need that honorable discharge for sure. So always, if you're in the military now, or if you're thinking about joining, work for that honorable discharge. That's what you want. Jordan says, what SF did you fly drones with? SEALs? So Jordan, to answer your question, I flew for SEALs and Green Berets. So I did one deployment with Green Berets, and I did one deployment with SEALs. And on that deployment with the SEALs in Iraq, I also went to go work with some Green Berets there also. Andrew says, they sound like predators. They need to be gone. Totally. I was on deployment in Bahrain for 6 months. Audra, nice, cool. But how did you like Bahrain? Were you able to go out in town at all? With my buddy Justin in the chat, Justin and I went out in Bahrain once, and we had a pretty good time the way I remember it. I think Bahrain was pretty fun. What's the difference between a bad conduct and a dishonorable discharge? So there's bad conduct and dishonorable, and then there is other than honorable, and then there's admin. The difference between bad conduct and dishonorable, bad conduct versus dishonorable discharge. Let me make sure I have the right information. Virtually all veterans' benefits are forfeited by a bad conduct discharge, also referred to as the big chicken dinner, like Audrey was saying. A dishonorable discharge, like a BCD, is a punitive discharge rather than an administrative. So it can only be handed down by a court-martial. So the difference is that a bad conduct discharge is a administrative version of a dishonorable discharge. So he's getting a bad conduct discharge, which is something that's not given by court-martial, I guess. So Justin says, kind of a bit hazy. Yeah, I think that's about right. Honestly, everything that happened to me more than like 5 years ago is a memory that's like, I think it's all true. I think everything I remember about it is true. So that's, I always like question my own memories about things. Do you guys do that too? Do you guys like question your memories? Like, is that really what happened? Like the way that I have it locked into my mind, what am I missing? What am I misremembering? It's always, I think a lot of that's possible. Larry D, what's up? I saw Bahrain in Carrier miniseries. It looked boring. So Bahrain, what was the name of that dome? The Desert Dome? What in Bahrain? Was that still a thing there when you guys went? So I think it was called the Desert Dome in Bahrain. Had these concerts. I just remember there was this cover band, and there was Filipino female lead singer of this cover band, and they were awesome. And cheap beer, and it was hot as hell. It was outdoors. So I think it was called the Desert Dome. Does anybody remember that? Does that sound right to anybody else? Or am I? Justin says, it feels like a past or different life. I totally know what you mean, dude. I feels like it happened to somebody else. I can't really even feel like I can go back to the memories of like being on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier or the flight deck of the bridge and sailing around the world and going to all these countries and stuff. Like it was like another life. So Audra, the Desert Dome was out there when you were out there. That's awesome. The Desert Dome in Bahrain was awesome. That was a fun spot. I flew through there in 2006. Oh, okay. So you were there in 03 to 04. I flew through there in 2006 and then went back in 2007. And that was the last time I was in Bahrain, I believe, was 2007. So that was like 14 years ago. Oh, my gosh. I'm old as hell. I'm an old man now. So, yeah, 2007 was the last time I was there. I can't believe that was 14 years ago. What in the world? So, look, I got to tell you guys an update on this, that Marine, the GWAT Thought that we talked about last week, who was the one with the TikTok about her getting her perpetrator was staying in the Marine Corps, and she believed they should be getting kicked out. And, you know, this whole thing is getting kind of out of hand, like this whole story. So Marine from viral video on military sex crime says her perpetrator was a platoon sergeant and victim advocate. It's always that way. it is always, always, always the SARP person who ends up being the sexual predator. Just like it's always the DAPA person, the drug and alcohol person who's railing coke every weekend. It's always the financial advisor with the gambling addiction. It's always, why is it always like this? In the chat, have you guys experienced where the person who advocates specifically for these things is like the worst offender? It's always like the CFL who's on juice and on steroids, which is like a dishonorable way to be fit. Marine from viral video on military sex crime says her perpetrator was platoon sergeant and victim advocate. So this is, as we know, Delina, and Delina is a Marine who went super viral on TikTok. So the female Marine whose distressing video about another Marine's sexual misconduct against her said Wednesday that her perpetrator was her unit's platoon sergeant and uniformed victim advocate. So a lot of stuff's come out about her recently, and I want to just give you guys a brief update on it, which is where somebody found tweets of hers, old tweets, where she said all the money she makes off of OnlyFans is going to be used to cover up a tattoo on her butt or something like that. And it was just some dumb, I mean, who cares? That doesn't mean anything. It was just like, they're starting to put the pieces together that what happened here is somebody took her OnlyFans content and distributed it. So on another occasion, she claims that she was sexually assaulted by another Marine. So in October 2019, she reported her coworker, a platoon sergeant and uniform victim advocate for sexual misconduct, according to her statement. He was removed from base after a military protective order was put in place, but she was kept in the dark for months by her former command about what actions were taken against him, according to her statement. Delina later found out that he had faced administrative punishment, not a court-martial. So basically NJP. So he was found guilty of violating Article 117 of the UCMJ. The article prohibits showing or distributing intimate or sexually explicit images to another person who is identifiable and did not consent to the image being shown or distributed. The Marine Corps said the Marine had transferred the images from the woman's phone to his phone and distributed them. Oh, sneaky. That's pretty sneaky. The UCMJ article is relatively new and was adopted in response to 2017 Marines United. Marines United being that Facebook group where all the Marines were sharing nude photos of other Marines. The unnamed male Marine had his rank reduced, forfeited an unknown amount of pay, and was being admin sepped from the service. And that's still ongoing. So she made this TikTok. And like I said, I went to her website where she's selling merch. She's selling stickers. And she's trying to advocate for victims of sexual assault in the military. I don't know what to make of this whole thing. There's definitely more to the story than met the eye at the beginning. And it seems like there's going to be more and more that comes out. Once you go on social media with something, the world is going to start ripping your past apart, right? So people went out there, they dug up her old tweets. I don't know. I don't have any reason to think that she is being fraudulent, and so I'm not going to think that. Like, that's where I stand on those kinds of things. If there's no reason to believe that she's making this up, then I'm not going to. That's an asshole move. But there's definitely like more to the story that might shine negative light on her, and I feel worse for her because now she has to kind of have her reputation dragged through the mud to even get heard for what she claims is a violation of her basically safety and rights and everything. And so, yeah, it's a rough deal. She's getting kind of a raw deal. That's what I honestly think about it now. And I hope that she is doing the honorable thing with her website, with the money she's made from this. I hope she's not scamming. I hope all that's true. And then, I hope that she finds some peace and, resolution to this whole thing, I guess. That's what I hope. Let me catch up on the chat really quick. Missed some chat. So, you were there in 03 to 04, and we Justin says, we checked on AT1. Dude, I barely even remember. I remember Mac, but I barely even remember, dude, what happened. It seems like yesterday, but it was 30 years ago. Wow. Yep. Seems like it. It does, dude. It's crazy. Hubby was there in 06. Justin says projection. What is that, projection? What was that? What was that a comment to? Sea Wild Earth, what's up? He says, they are the people with the best experience to talk about that subject matter, maybe a prerequisite for the position. Are you a junkie? Yes, you got the job. Yes, you're right. It's true. But you can't be a victim advocate and a rapist. It's not a good mix. Audra says, I was an assistant DAPA with no ARIs. Good. That's good. There's definitely like people out there who do the right thing. But whenever somebody does get busted, like when people do get busted, it always seems like they are also the urinalysis coordinator or something like that. It just always seems to go that way. Or maybe that's just what I remember, but it's definitely always seems to go that way. I want to tell you guys about a buddy of mine. So I've got a buddy, and if you've been watching the channel for a long time, like a really long time, like a few years, you would see this. And the guy's name is Frank. He's a Marine, former Marine infantry, and he started a business, and the business was making a Marine's favorite thing, okay? A Marine's favorite thing. So he made crayons ready to eat. So this is his logo here. This is the bag. It's made to look like an MRE. So it's a CRE. It's crayons ready to eat. They are chocolate crayons that you can use to write, and then when you're done writing, you can eat them. And they work, and they're tasty, and everything. So Task and Purpose finally caught on to this and did an article about them. So Task and Purpose does an article on my buddy Frank Montezu, however his last name is pronounced, and he Montu, created by Frank and Cassandra Cassie. Frank and Cassie made crayons ready to eat. They're not only edible, but writable chocolate crayons that come in a range of colors. So here's a little video. I feel like I should be saluting. They have this little waving American flag. I did a promo video for them as well. And so they've had some hardships along the way. They started this business. They started selling chocolate and then found out that you can't just sell chocolate because it's food. You have to get approvals. You have to get health inspections, all this stuff. So they got like a little held up on this whole process. Then they realized they can't ship them because shipping food is a whole nother deal, and they have to figure out how to make sure they don't melt and everything. So right now they're only selling them in person, but they have a Kickstarter going on to raise money to be able to produce on a large scale and ship crayons ready to eat, which would be the greatest gag gift for any Marine or Marine friends of yours. So Frank accepted the joke of Marines being crayon eaters in true Marine Corps fashion. He said, "We embrace every joke that comes at our expense. We will make it our own. We will laugh with you, not be laughed at you." And in a real sign of the times, when Frank talks about hearing that Marines were called crayon eaters, he says back in his day, they were jarheads, grunts, ground pounders, and bullet sponges. So crayon eaters might be the more PC nickname for Marines now. It might seem like insulting, but it's actually probably very PC. So here's General Neller telling guys, it's not your fault. That crayon box did look a lot like an MRE, which is too funny. Marines eating crayons. Hilarious. So Monteau, Frank, a carpenter. He's a carpenter. He's a very talented carpenter. He's a very talented dude, very good guy. He goes through and he makes these writable crayons. So here, check this out. Here's a little video of somebody using the crayons to color. There's no audio for this one. So you can see this Marine staff sergeant here. When you get your crayons ready to eat, they come with a little page to color in. So she's coloring in with the green one there. And when she's done, she will, I think I saw that, and she eventually eats it anyway. So just a spoiler alert. We're coming in hot.
Pretty good. I ain't gonna lie.
What you got?
Pretty good. Blue.
All right.
For a crayon, it's pretty good.
For a crayon, it's pretty good.
So crayons ready to eat because Marines are crayon eaters. I got the red one. So let's see. It's good.
So people are loving it. I have not, in all the time that I knew Frank and we worked together at Veterans in Residence at WeWork, powered by Bunker Labs, everyone who ever tried those crayons, I'm looking at the wrong camera, everyone who ever tried those crayons loved it and always put a smile on their face. So if you guys want to go check out that Kickstarter, or actually wait, it's not Kickstarter. It's like Kickstarter is like the general name that everyone uses for funding things, but it's like, I'll put it in the description of the next video that we do because it's going to be going on for a while. So they're trying to raise money to get a facility to mass produce these crayons. And if you invest, then you, as your benefit of being an investor, you get a certain amount of crayons and coloring books. So I will share that with you guys on the next episode, which will be next week. It's Friday here in Okinawa, last episode of the week. The worst start to any episode ever. But we turned it into something great, and that's what we do. That's what you got to do. So I definitely recommend you guys check out Crayons Ready to Eat. So let's see. You guys are making me feel really young. Oh, wait. Danger Zone, what's up? Justin says, SARPs being predators is projection. Oh, got you. Yes, totally. Audrey says, I used to refer to Marines as bullet sponges. Yep, that's very common. Hey, Marines, always first, right? Always first. First to fight. Jordan says, this is great. Yeah, check out Crayons Ready to Eat. Do Marines eat devil dogs? Larry, that's a great idea. You should sell hot dogs. Devil dogs. That's a great idea. I've never seen those. That should be a thing. That should obviously be a thing. Why is that not a thing? Let me see. I'm afraid if I do this next story, YouTube's going to shut down the stream. So I might save it for last, but I don't like to ever end on a negative note. By the way, just like the title of this video says, I'm answering questions today happily. If anybody has any questions for me, or did I miss some in the chat, drop them again. I'm happy to answer any questions today. I am struggling just to get through this. Every moment is a struggle, and I do it because I love you guys, and I love doing this show. Worst best start in YouTube stream history, Steven says. Yes. Steven, thank you for your support of the channel, and I'm glad that you found me here and have become a regular. I really appreciate it. You rock. I hope I'm doing a good job for you. Yeah, that was the most AT thing that could possibly happen to me, was that start to this show. So it kind of worked out. It kind of had a somewhat of a happy ending, so to speak. Now, let's just get to this next story really quick, and I'll end with a negative story, but then we'll have some fun afterwards maybe. Audra says, I had an instructor who used to call us sailors devil ducks. Devil ducks, that's pretty good. I like devil ducks. I would keep devil ducks. So we covered last week about the Army saying that the new ACFT is gender biased because women aren't doing as good, and I think that that's BS. I think that is literally the most bogus excuse I've ever heard. Women can pass the Army ACFT. There should be no problem. What people need is training and time to get up to the new standards. It's not gender biased. Women can work out. Women can be fit and do pull-ups and do CrossFit and all of this stuff. So now guess who's coming out and saying it? Pioneering female Ranger School grad. Lowering fitness standards for women is a bad idea. So now they are turning, the first female Ranger School grad is turning on the Army, saying that lowering the standards for women is a bad idea. And I have to say, I totally agree. Okay, I totally agree. The Army's first female infantry officer is urging the service not to revert to separate fitness standards for men and women. I think it's a horrible idea. I think the Navy needs to update theirs. I don't know what the Air Force does for fitness. I mean, they probably don't do anything, so they can just keep doing what they're doing. And the Marine Corps already has high standards for fitness for men and women. So go Marine Corps, rah, right? Kill. In an essay posted online to West Point's Modern War Institute, Captain Kristen Griest said that evaluating women based on lower fitness standards would not only hurt the effectiveness of combat arms units, it also would hurt women in the Army. Under a gender-based system, women in combat arms have to fight every day to dispel the notion that their presence inherently weakens these previously all-male units. Lower female standards also reinforce the belief that women cannot perform the same job as men, therefore making it difficult for women to earn the trust and confidence of their teammates. Griest's thoughts on the hotly debated issue of physical fitness standards for women in combat jobs are particularly notable due to her trailblazing status as the first woman to earn the coveted Ranger tab in 2015, and then go on to become an infantry officer. She is definitely an all-around badass. In 2015, she was one of 19 female soldiers approved to attend Ranger School as part of the pilot program. She and another woman made history later that year as the first women to complete Ranger School and earn their tabs. A third graduated soon afterward, and Griest now serves in the Army Talent Management Task Force in Washington. So, like recruiting, something like that? Retention, recruiting. So the Army is considering a revision to its ACFT, which would lower the standards or change the standards for women when it's supposed to be a gender-neutral test. The possible revision came after lawmakers became concerned about the fairness of the test, which because of results coming out that women were failing disproportionately to men. The high failure rate, Griest argued, is not a sign that the ACFT is flawed or that the women who initially failed it will never succeed. Instead, those failures, including Griest's own recent failure on a practice ACFT, can show soldiers what they most need to work on. She failed too? Well, that changes everything. She also failed the test. And it doesn't change anything. What needs to happen is people need to train. And they already said that they weren't going to grade people on these tests for the first couple of years, giving them time to get in shape. People need to get fit. People need to get in shape. That's it. It's because I failed almost every first attempt at a military task, from applying to West Point to graduating Ranger School, that I know first contact with failure is not a cause for concern, she wrote. Yes, this is a quote right here. I mean, it's literally a quote, but it needs to be on a t-shirt or something. This so much embodies what much of the military experience is dealing with failure over and over and over and over again. because failure is inevitable, okay? Everyone loves this saying, failure is not an option. Failure is always an option, but it's not about whether or not you fail. It's about what you do after you fail. Failing once and then giving up, nobody would be in the military. Boot camp, selection, all of those programs are designed for you to fail. Failing is the whole point. You only pass at the end by failing and not giving up. Like, the whole point is to fail a bunch of times and to learn how to deal and overcome failure. So I love this quote. I know first contact with failure is not a cause for concern. I love that. So Grease said in her essay that she has long awaited the elimination of gender-based fitness tests. If the ACFT went back to scoring men and women differently, combat arms units would see a drastic reduction in their performance and effectiveness. Holding soldiers serving in combat arms to differing standards could open the door to troops joining those units after only having to perform 10 push-ups in 2 minutes, run 2 miles in 21 minutes, deadlift 140 pounds 3 times, and perform 1 repetition of a leg tuck, or if they cannot, 2 minutes of a plank. Which, by the way, if anybody's wondering, those are really low standards. Proponents of the ACFT standard will undoubtedly claim that it is an appropriate predictor of success for combat armed soldiers, Grease wrote. As a recent infantry company commander, I can promise you it is not. So she did her tour as an infantry company commander and now works in D.C. with talent management. It's not like she just went to D.C. after Ranger School. Creating a gender-based ACFT for combat arms will normalize the problem of soldiers who are not prepared for physical strain of combat, not fix it. It's going to increase the problem, not reduce it. While it may be difficult for a 120-pound woman to lift or drag 250 pounds, the Army cannot artificially absolve women of that responsibility. It may still exist on the battlefield. I just want to take a second here to say there's so many scrawny, out-of-shape dudes in the military who cannot drag 250 pounds. Trust me, this is not unique to women. Saying, like, it should not even be a concern that women are, like, too small and weak, because it implies that every guy is fit and buff and big and able to do this, which is totally not true. There are, I hesitate to say a majority, but a massive number of people in the whole military. If you look at the whole Air Force, the whole Navy, the whole Army, most people could not handle combat. The majority of people are not in the military. I'm going to say it. The majority of people in the military are not physically fit enough to handle combat. That's what I'm saying right now. So the whole culture of fitness in the military needs to be revamped. And as soon as they try to do it, as soon as the Army tries to do it, they go, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard. Never mind. I know we just started this year, but we should probably give up. The Army is literally giving up at first contact with failure. That's what they're doing. And I am totally pissed about it. I mean, I'm not even in the military anymore. What do I care? I do care. I think that it's important. We have to have military readiness. I'll tell you guys what. I stay in shape now out of the military because you have to just be prepared for life in general. You know what I mean? You never know what's going to come at you. You never know when being fit's going to save your life or help you save somebody else's life. When you have to jump into the water to save somebody drowning like that Marine in Pendleton this week, or, you know, run into a burning building like at the end of Outsiders. Okay, R.I.P. Pony Boy. It's all about maintaining a healthy, fit lifestyle so that you're ready for life when it comes at you. And now, when the military is talking more and more about preparing for peer-to-peer conflict, how are we going to prepare for peer-to-peer conflict when we're constantly lowering the standards and changing everything to cater to the weakest? It's disgraceful. The entire purpose of creating a gender-neutral test was to acknowledge the reality that each job has objective physical standards to which all soldiers should be held regardless of gender. The intent was not to ensure that women and men will have an equal likelihood of meeting those standards. Rather, it is incumbent upon women who volunteer for the combat arms profession to ensure they are fully capable and qualified for it. If women want to go into the infantry, into special forces, all of that stuff, I'm totally down with that. But if they are literally now saying that they're just going to openly admit that to lowering standards, I mean, if they lower the ACFT standards, how are the women going to graduate the School of Infantry? It seems so backwards to me. It's such a bad idea. Anyway, what do you guys think in the chat? Let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Let's see. Where did I leave off on the chat? The chat's been going crazy while I was blabbing. Let's see. Steven says, legend has it your voice mod is still streaming in another multiverse. Oh, I hope not. That was horrible. That sounded horrible. Andrew says, have you ever been in an armored Toyota? I have. The number one vehicle in Iraq and Afghanistan was that Hilux, the sponsor of terrorism. Scad, my question is, when did you hit 1K? Oh, dude, a couple weeks ago. Hit 1K, and it was epic. And we had a whole celebration. And the video of the moment I hit 1K is on YouTube. Check it out. You can go find that. Literally every dude in my unit agrees with her. It is bad for women. Totally. I totally agree. Andrew, are you Army? Is that what you are? SCP-5000. I have a friend who is horrible in fitness, and she's in the Air Force. Dope. Cool story. A lot of Air Force are not fit. And it's just, I mean, I saw these Air Force dudes actually, 2 days ago, I was at the track, and I saw these two Air Force people running, and it was really embarrassing to watch. I thought, they all looked like badly injured ducks. Like, they all looked like badly injured mallards just struggling to move across the track on Kadena Air Force Base. Sorry if you're watching and you're one of those people from what looked like a aviation maintenance squadron called Structures, then you need to get your fitness on a little bit. I'm just going to say that. So females need to be just as combat ready as the males, Jordan says. I agree. Seawilder says, agreed, lowering requirements lowers the effectiveness and efficiency of a fighting force. Totally. SCP-5000 says, so yeah, the Air Force can be the same way. Totally. Andrew says, and of course, men are like WTF meme face. Yeah, maybe, Andrew with a super chat, Congress's idea. Thank you very much, Andrew. I appreciate that very much. Congress did have a big part in pushing women into combat. And if you guys haven't heard my thoughts on women in combat, we covered on another episode. I could give you the bluff bottom line up front. If you want it, let me know in the chat. So Larry D says, I'm referring to the Drake's snack cakes called Devil Dogs, although USMC Devil Dogs might sell it if there's no copyright infringement. Oh, that's right. I forgot about those Drake's cakes. Those are so good. Austin says, talent management task force sounds like casting couch. Kind of, yeah. Austin, you want to deal with repeated failure, get married in the military. And Jordan got a chuckle out of that too. That's pretty funny. Larry D said, kids today are too soft. My son and many like him lived very sedentary lifestyles. Yeah. And that sedentary lifestyle when you're young leads to more injuries when you're older, less productiveness, more health problems, tons of problems. Danger zone, 2 miles in 21 minutes is very slow. Kids nowadays are simply spoiled, SCP says. It's kind of true. I mean, I think kids nowadays, there's a lot of great ones too, to be honest. Like a lot of, what would you call them, millennials? Are kids still millennials? Like, what are kids now? What are kids called? They are, there's a lot of great, fit, resourceful, creative kids out there, and I think they get kind of a bad rap. I think we're a little hard on them sometimes. There are good people out there still growing up, being raised, good parents. APFT is way harder to pass than the ACFT. What's the APFT consist of? Is that the regular run, push-up, sit-ups? SCAD, special forces are not to be mass-produced. True. It wouldn't be very special. Audra says the Navy definitely needs to update their standards big time. Justin says Max runs around with his Max. Are you trying to say, does that Max runs around with his mask and fins? Yeah, I do. I always have to have them ready to go. I live on the ocean. Like, there's people out there, it gets rough. You never know when you have to jump in and save somebody. Participation trophies, gotta love them. Yep. I love me a good participation trophy. Audra says, as the saying goes, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Yep, and we can't cater to the weakest link. We live in a backwards world. Some standards for specific jobs like combat, same standards. Yeah, I totally agree, Justin. The standards should be the same for men and women in combat jobs. It doesn't make any sense to have different standards. Larry says lowering standards is participation ribbon mentality. Totally. Andrew's in the air defense maintenance. Nice. Okay. Okay. So you're air defense. Is that English? Justin says maybe we're speed walking. That you could do 2 miles in 21 minutes speed walking. Andrew says, I ran track 1 mile run in college. I'm always helping the troops get better form. That's good, dude. That's good. Danger zone. Let us know. Okay, so basically my thought on women in special forces, big bottom line up front here. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I have no personal issue with women being able to go into special forces and train. Let's assume that the standards are the same. Go into BUDS, go into Green Beret School. My big question is, where are all the women who want to go special forces? I've never in my life met a girl who wanted to go be a Navy SEAL. So why this big push that women have to be in special forces? Like, who are the women who want to be this? You know, like, where's the line of women waiting to go Green Beret, SEAL, CCT, Raider? I just don't think it exists. I don't think there's a population of women out there who want to go special forces so bad that they're like willing to, you know, die for it, which is what you really have to be willing to do. Like, you want to have to go to buds more than you want to live. It's no joke. And I don't even, like, I've never, in all the time in the Navy and all the time after the Navy, being around the military, I've never met a woman who really, sincerely, honestly, like, no kidding, wanted to be a SEAL. So who is all this work being done for? That's my question. That's my deal. I have no problem. Women should be allowed to do whatever men can do. There should be no obstruction to how far a woman can go in the military. But who are these women? Like, where are they? That's what I'm wondering. So let me know if you're out there, if you're listening, if you're the woman and you're listening, let me know. There's a, you know, I've got a video, but I don't know if I should show it, honestly. I really shouldn't, now that I think about it. Maybe I'll just tell you guys about it. There's this story going around. Navy veteran having mental health crisis died after officer knelt on his neck. So a U.S. Navy veteran who was experiencing a mental health crisis died after a police officer called out to help him, knelt on his neck for several minutes, asphyxiating him. Angelo Quinto, 30, was suffering a bout of paranoia, anxiety, and depression in his family home in Antioch, Northern California, when his sister, Isabella Collins, called police on 23 December. So this is from a couple months ago. According to an account given by the family, the officer grabbed him on the arms, out of the arms of his mother, then knelt on his neck for almost 5 minutes while his legs were being held by another officer. Now, this has not made big news yet, but I'm surprised it hasn't, frankly. But there's a cell phone video, I have the video here, recorded by his mother, Cassandra. Her son is seen lying limp on the floor with blood on his face, and on the floor beneath him, she's heard saying, "What happened? Does he have a pulse?" This is a story about a guy, it sounds like, having a mental health crisis, who, when the police responded, you know, I don't know what his cause of death is. It doesn't say here in this article. It doesn't it doesn't allude to what was happening in the moments before, like why he had to be, you know, knelt on, if he was resisting. It doesn't say. It says he was. I mean, they say he wasn't, but there's no evidence to what was happening, like, in the moments before. Then there is this video, and you can see the video on YouTube. I shouldn't show it. I had it pulled up, but I really shouldn't show it. I mean, just so you know, it's this guy. He's not breathing on the ground, and the police are, you know, start giving him CPR when paramedics get there and stuff. So this Navy veteran having a mental health crisis ends up dead after an encounter with the police. And there's not much more to the story, but it's starting to make its way around. So I want to let you guys know about this, that this is out there. And it's from Antioch. I don't really know where that is. It was obviously in California, but I don't know where Antioch in California is, Northern California. And so it doesn't say much about what he did in the Navy either, but he's a Navy veteran. I don't know what his mental health issues were, what caused this, what inspired this mental health crisis that he was currently in. But it's just another example of, I'm not going to say like police brutality, but of, because I really hesitate to call it something like this, police brutality, without knowing all the facts about the situation and what was happening in the moments before, what was happening when the police arrived and all that stuff. Then in the video, they, just as a heads up to you guys about this video, which you can find on YouTube, in the video, they do a reenactment of the way that the police restrained him. And in the reenactment, which was done by the lawyers or somebody representing the family, it didn't look like they were choking him the way that they reenacted it, the way that the mother says it happened. If anything, that video is going to be damning to the family's case in court if they ever do go to court with this to sue the city or whatever, because the knee was that they said, the way that the mother said it happened, when the guy had the knee on the back of the person, on his shoulders, where his shoulders are, not on his neck. And he should have been able to breathe and survive that. I don't know what he died from, his cause of death. So there's a lot more information that we need to know. But it's one more example of like how dangerous it can be living with a mental health condition. Like when you're feeling unwell psychologically, you are a threat to yourself, you're a threat to others, and others become a threat to you. And sometimes, rightfully so, sometimes people having major bouts of schizophrenia, paranoia can be dangerous. They could, grab a weapon. They could feel, I dealt with this in my own family. People could be, your own family could become scared of you, that you're like their enemy. They have these bouts, these episodes of severe distress, and it puts them in a horribly dangerous situation. So when they talk about police responding to scenes like this with mental health professionals, that's what I think people need to understand, is that people having mental health crises can create these dangerous situations. They can become a danger to themselves and others in all of these ways that they're kind of out of control of, and it's fleeting. It comes and goes. They're having moments, This has been I'm speaking from personal experience here. And if you're a police officer and you're called to a scene and you get there, and I'm not saying that this is what happens here, but just anecdotally for me, and the person that you're called to deal with has a butcher's knife, right? And they're saying that everyone's out to get them, that the police are there to kill them, and as the police, you're burdened to deal with this situation. Like you're there now, you have to deal with it. As the police officer, you now have to do something. And that's when these violent situations happen. Like it's tragic all around when somebody's having a mental health crisis. It's a really bad deal. And I feel for people on both sides too. Like, I'd like to know what you guys think in the chat, but it is a sad and difficult situation. If you've ever dealt with somebody who had major, major psychological issues like schizophrenia, paranoia, it can be terrifying. It can be truly, truly scary to be around them when they're having an episode. And I mean, you could honestly feel in danger and be in actual danger. And so these types of situations, people are really quick to claim what the police should do or policy changes and all this stuff. And I agree that there's a place for that, but it's a horrible burden to be a police officer responding to somebody having a mental health crisis. I don't think cops show up to these things going, better just kill them. I hope we just kill them and get it over with. I don't think that's what any sense of, and a majority of police would think. That might be like a comment made by a fringe amount of people in the profession. But for the most part, I think people show up to these things to try to do the right thing. And so, it's really, really difficult. And this story is maybe a sad example of this, where people having a mental health crisis create, and no fault to them. I don't fault this person for this situation. It says he was in his mom's arms. He was in his mother's arms when the police got there, and the mom was trying to calm him down. Horrible. I mean, devastating story. And in the video, you can see he was handcuffed too. He was handcuffed. And so it makes me wonder, like, once somebody's restrained and handcuffed, maybe there should be a protocol to, take better care of them from that moment forward. Like, you have pretty good control over somebody when they have their hands cuffed behind their back, honestly. Like, you're still at risk. Like, you could get bit. You could get stabbed. You could get kicked. Okay, all these things. But if somebody's dying in your custody, that's pretty bad. That's a pretty bad deal. As the police, and we've talked about this before on the show, as the police, once you have somebody in handcuffs, they're in your custody. They're in your care. You're supposed to take care of them, and they shouldn't die at that point by your hand. That's not the idea. So as this story starts to go around and make its way through the news, if it ever does, I feel horrible for the family who had to see this. You can see it in the video. I mean, if you guys want to go watch the video, go watch it on YouTube. I'm not going to play it here today, I've decided. But you can see the cops are in there. The guy is lifeless, and his family had to watch it happen. Quinto, he was born in the Philippines. He was honorably discharged from the Navy in 2019. He had struggled with depression and anxiety and paranoia. And and the family said they regret calling the police because of what happened. It's sad. It's horrible. There has to be something more we can do for people having mental health crises I don't know what it is though, because it's a real dangerous situation. And maybe the thing is we have to get ahead of it with identifying, people who are most at risk and getting them better care along the way, better access to healthcare professionals, especially for veterans. Did he have access to the VA? Was he being seen at the VA? I have more questions about that. Let me just go to the comments here and see what you guys are saying. So, my little brother was in the Marine Combat Arms Integration Study. He said the women were literally asking the dudes why they want to be infantry. Audra, I don't know. Andrew, I'm not sure what the meaning of that is. If you can explain that a little bit. Let's see. I believe the sister called the police. Audra said, yep, the sister called the police. Tyler says, didn't the cops learn the first time with the whole kneeling on the neck thing? Sad to see it happen again. So that's what they're saying. But I say, encourage you guys to maybe, if you're interested, watch the video, because in the video, the family has their investigators or whatever conducting a reenactment, and the reenactment, which you can hear the mother or sister on the video saying is how it happened, did not look like they were kneeling on his neck, to be totally honest. But I guess we'll see more about it as it comes out. North of the Bay Area. Okay, thank you, Justin, for saying where Antioch is. Tyler says, didn't the cops... Oh, sorry, just read that one. Will cities burn in his name? Doubt it. Seawilder says, nobody even knows about this story. It's flying way under the radar. Someone I served with was killed by the police in 2019. He had a mental health issue, yeah? Yep. And, I don't always fault the police. Like, what are they going to do? The burdens, they have a huge burden on them. Responding to these types of calls, a huge burden. It's horrible all around. Police can always use taser guns or other kinds of non-deadly weapons. Miguel, my question to you, do you have any law enforcement training? Do you have any training with non-lethal weapons? Curious. Anybody who leaves that kind of comment on with these types of issues or says something like that, I always wonder what your background is with detaining people, law enforcement training, non-lethal weapons, and all that. Andrew says tasers are less than lethal, not non-lethal. Well, yeah, less than lethal. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, put yourself in officer's shoes. See, I think it's bad all the way around, like I said. Let's see. Justin says, sounds like good reason to fund a different response team trained for mental health. But then, Justin, they would need police there too. Like, because if you just send, like, what are you going to do? Somebody's having a mental health crisis. Someone calls for help. And when they get there, somebody runs at them with a knife or something like we've seen in the past. What are they supposed to do? It's like, it's really difficult. Unfortunately, sometimes the police have to make a split-second decision. Cuffs and leg restraints, no need to put full body weight onto restrain. Let them tire themselves out by bouncing around as they like. Body cams should be documenting that as is. Yeah, I don't know if there's body cams here. Maybe there's body cams. I dated a girl that was bipolar with paranoid schizophrenia, but I didn't know it because of her meds for about 3 months. She wasn't dangerous, but she suffered from headaches that they caused with wild mood swings. I had to bail on her, and I lost contact with her. Don't know what happened to her. So Larry D, yeah, if you've ever known somebody with schizophrenia, bipolar, manic type mental health issues, then you might know how intense that can get. Like really scary stuff where you would call the police because you feel in danger or you are in actual danger, and it's a tough. I'm a broken record over here, but it's tough. It's tough all the way around. SCP says, wow, man, I feel for you. It's tough to hang on, but you did your best, man. No reason to feel ashamed. Oh, you're talking to Larry? Got it. Andrew said, the integration study comment was to relate to your open-ended question about women wanting... Oh, got you, Andrew. Got you. Also, I saw you said that you were air artillery. Where was that comment? Yeah, you're American. I got it. So let me find... Air Defense Artillery, U.S. Army. Yeah, Air Defense Artillery. Got it. Not like Air Defense Force or whatever. Okie Life. What's up? Okie Life in the chat. Joe Rogan says all police should be purple belt and BJJ. Not a bad idea. Yeah, I think police should have way more. So I'll tell you guys something really quick. I don't like to get into this police stuff, but really quick. The San Diego Police Department, okay? Just one anecdotal story about this. The San Diego Police Department has such a horrible policy when it comes to their insurance and health insurance and their compensation for like workers' comp, that if you're a police officer and you're injured doing any type of physical training and you can't work, they will not pay you workers' comp. They will not pay you any sort of salary or cover your medical. So they incentivize not training and not staying fit, which in my mind makes me think people would be more prone to use their escalation of force from less than lethal to lethal because they're not fit enough to chase and fight. And they haven't been training in jiu-jitsu or something like that because they know if they get hurt, they won't be covered. So you can like trace these problems in all different aspects to figure out where you can make small differences that would lead to big improvements. And that might be one of them. Better training, but not even better training, but just better insurance coverage. So that way people feel more confident they can train, something like that, We can talk about that all day. Look, it's 12:30 out here in Okinawa on Friday. I had a great time with you guys today. I want to encourage you guys to go check out the Patreon link in the description down below. If you watch this show daily or a couple days a week or listen to it back on podcast and you're here with me 5-6 hours a week, I would encourage you to go check out the Patreon link in the description down below, where if you become an elite patron for $10 a month, I'll send you a free t-shirt on your second month. So get yourself a free ScuttleButt Show t-shirt by going on Patreon and becoming an elite patron. Another way to support the channel is just checking out all the other links in the description down below, including ScuttleButtShow.com, where merchandise is available for sale, t-shirts, stickers, coffee cups, like this one right here with the Train to Train logo on it, and all kinds of good stuff. I appreciate the super chats. Wow, awesome. Totally awesome. You guys rock for all of that and the donations. Love you guys for it. And thank you very much for dealing with the audio issues at the beginning of this episode. How crazy was that? How crazy was that? It was a very interesting way to end the week. I will say that. I had a fun time. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm glad we didn't give up on it. We troubleshot for 20 minutes. We restarted the stream, everything, and we got through and we had a great episode. So, Rage Guy, we are literally signing out right now. So I appreciate you guys being here and sticking with me through all that. That was awesome. Very fun. Very, very, very fun. San Diego Police did try to give me a jaywalking ticket once. Jaywalking tickets are lame. Justin says, I say Max and Scotty train law enforcement. Thank you, Justin. I'm probably not the right guy for it. I'll say that. Maybe Scotty probably is, though. Okie Life, have a great weekend. Here we go. I'm going to leave it with something controversial here. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Rage Guy, before we sign out, I will take this question. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Hell yeah. I love me some pineapple on pizza. I love it. Love it, love it. Can't get enough of it. All right. With that being said, have a great weekend, you guys. Thank you for sticking with me this week. What a fun week we had with guests and special episodes and all that. I look forward to seeing you Sunday, 1800 Pacific Standard Time, back here with another new episode covering all the weekend's big military news. Until then, I'm out for now.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.